What is going on, guys? Taylor Stuber with Sharp Sports Network, bringing you my favorite plays for this Week 5 Thursday night showdown slate between the Seahawks and the Rams. I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to watch my video. It means an absolute ton to me. And if you want to enter that giveaway for a free NBA season pass, all you have to do is subscribe below, like this video, and then comment with your favorite play of this slate, and then we will select a winner every single Monday. We already selected a winner this previous Monday on the past video. If you haven't watched that one yet, it's pretty much just a first look at this Week 5 NFL slate. And then tomorrow, I will be dropping my first NBA video for that preseason slate. It's going to be a showdown game between the Rockets and the Clippers. It's going to be at midnight from Thursday, or midnight Central Time, so Thursday turning into Friday. I'm going to be live streaming at night. I'm probably going to do some drinking on there, just enjoying the chat with you guys, and breaking down some things before the slate begins to try to make some money with you guys. We are still running that promo for this is the last week we're doing it for NFL season pass. It comes with my personal cheat sheet, private chat, live stream before lock, and then private lineup construction video before every slate, including the showdowns, and it includes a free shirt. And we just dropped the Luka Doncic shirt. So if you want to grab that, it's only $50. And then, of course, NBA season starts tomorrow. So if you want to grab a pass for $150 or a 1 month pass for $50, includes the preseason, regular season, and postseason, and the previous things I just mentioned. So yeah, let's just get right into it, guys. So we got this is like the third highest team or game total of the entire week, and it comes on Thursday, so that's pretty exciting because usually we get these snooze fests on these showdown slates. About 49.5 over under, rose a half a point already. Seattle's at home, favored by 1.5 points. So there's a lot of things that come to mind when I first looked at this, just because when I was looking at the situation neutral rates between both of these teams, some of the things that stood out: the Seahawks have the highest opponent situational neutral pass rate at 74%, meaning when games are within a touchdown, which I expect this game to be, the opponents against the Seahawks are passing at a 74% rate, which is pretty crazy. And it suits well for the Rams, who haven't been running nearly as much this year with Todd Gurley. We saw just last week, even though it was just a shootout, so they weren't running the ball very much. Only had 5 rush attempts, and I believe Brown had about the same. He had 5 attempts as well. So it was mostly everything through the pass game, even though last week it kind of skewed the numbers a bit just because Jared Goff ended up passing 68 times. I don't expect that. I expect something around this 38, 39 number, which is plenty to get these pieces enough fantasy points. And then on the flip side of the Seahawks have the 4th highest situation neutral run rate at 48%. So that means, again, if the game's within a touchdown, they're going to be wanting to run the ball, and that's the 4th highest rate in the league against the Rams, who really aren't that great on defense. Not very good against the run, not very good at getting pressure on the quarterback. So it makes me like Chris Carson quite a bit over here on both sides, really. But on DraftKings at 8.2K, I think that's a very fair price. He is getting Penny back this week, but if we look at the snap shares of last week or the last couple weeks, so when Penny was completely healthy, he played 77% and then 54%, but he's been having these fumbling troubles, so he kind of lost a lot of snaps due to that. And then this is when it really happened in this Week 3 game. Penny didn't play that game, and then CJ Prosise ended up getting a ton of the work because of the fumbling woes. But he played amazing last week, and they've shown confidence in him over and over again, even despite the fumbles, just because he is so much better of a running back than these other guys. So while I don't think he plays necessarily 76% of the snaps with Penny back, I think he plays anywhere from 65 to 70%. So I do like Chris Carson quite a bit. On FanDuel, he is at 12,000, which I think is really, really cheap. The pieces for, I said it earlier, the pieces for the Seahawks are really condensed. It's Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, and then Tyler Lockett. You could throw Will Dissly in there, who I think is definitely interesting, and I think he's here to stay for sure. Rams have been pretty stout against tight ends this year, but Will Dissly, especially with Vinette gone, ended up playing, I believe, 79% of the snaps, which is pretty wild. Luke Wilson wasn't there very much, but he had played for them before, so wouldn't be surprised if it dipped a bit down to 70-75%, but it's pretty apparent that Luke Wilson is one of Russell Wilson's favorite targets, and he definitely in the red zone. So Will Dissly definitely still garners a ton of usage. 7.6K over here on DraftKings. I would prefer Brandon Cooks pretty heavily, which is my favorite point per dollar Ram. And then Carson I would prefer more than him, and then Woods and him is pretty much a toss-up. I think I slightly prefer Woods, though, even though he doesn't have nearly as good of a matchup as Brandon Cooks. Going down here to some of the more pieces, DK Metcalf's only 6.4K. He leads the league in end zone targets at 7, which is pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that. He only had 6 yards last week, only had 1 catch. And he took a hit in terms of his snap share at 63%, but last week they had a stranglehold on their lead against the Cardinals, and so they got to do what they wanted. If they're leading this game, or if the game's even relatively close, Russell Wilson's not passing more than 30 times. So it's interesting, this game, because I want to have guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So if you think this game shoots out, these are like the best plays on the entire slate. Especially with Tyler Lockett playing in the slot versus the Rams, who we just saw Chris Godwin absolutely go God mode on them last week. Tyler Lockett, I think, is just as good a receiver, if not better, with a better quarterback and Russell Wilson. So if this game turns into a shootout, you're going to want to have guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and maybe a little less of Chris Carson. But if you want to go with how Vegas thinks this game goes, I'd be a bit heavier on Chris Carson because Tyler Lockett has a 24% target share for the Seattle team, so that's great if they're passing a lot. But if you saw, like last week when they had a lead the entire time, he only had 4 targets. Or against Cincinnati when the game was super close, 21-20, he only had 2 targets. But if you see these higher scoring games, 27-33, 28-26, he had 14 and 12 targets respectively. So that's a decision you're gonna have to make. I'll leave my decision to my members, because I can't give away everything that I think for this slate. And then he's extremely cheap over here on FanDuel at $11,000. That's just a crazy price. He's significantly cheaper than the Rams targets, and it's way more condensed over here on the Seattle Seahawks. So that makes me like Tyler Lockett quite a bit. One of the cheaper guys I like on this slate is going to be Gerald Everett. Just because, like I said earlier, the teams in neutral, situation neutral games are passing at a 74% rate. So the Rams should be passing a lot. They don't want to run that much, even though they have been giving more confidence in Todd Gurley. He didn't rush that many times last week, and it was everything that he got in terms of production usually came through the air. Had 11 targets for 10 catches, I believe, last week. So if Gerald Everett's going to be $8,000 and people are going to be more on Tyler Higbee just because he produced better last week, it really puts me on a guy like Gerald Everett, who outsnapped him 50 snaps to 39 and then ran 42 routes compared to Higbee's 25. So if this game turns into how I think it's going to be, where the Rams are passing all the time, it's a guy like Gerald Everett that I prefer to Higbee, and Everett over here is only 3.2K, and I prefer him to the kickers just in terms of upside. In cash games, if you want to go with the kickers, I guess I don't hate it, but if you need that couple hundred savings for Gerald Everett, I like going that route. And one of my favorite routes I was looking for is you could stack Everett with put Everett in the captain spot, put in Jared Goff, get some of the pieces, and then run it back with a guy like Chris Carson if you think the game goes that way, which Vegas is predicting it to be. And then through the first 4 weeks, that's what it seems like it's going to be. I do slightly prefer Jared Goff to Russell Wilson this week. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this slate. I like the Rams receivers. with Goff. I like the Rams passing game, and I like the running game for the Seahawks in cash games at least. There's a lot more routes that you could go in GPPs. Like I said before, if you think this game shoots out, I think Seattle offensive pieces are more viable in the passing game, like Tyler Lockett, like Will Dissly, and maybe a guy like DK Metcalf is super viable in GPPs. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please drop a like, please subscribe, comment below with your favorite play of the day. I'm gonna be choosing a winner every single Monday. And until next time, peace.